Well, hello and welcome to this regional breakout session. Thanks for joining us. We're going to be talking very much over the next few minutes about what do you do if you have to react at speed? What do you do if you don't have the time available to you and you know you need to make changes in your business and those changes have had to happen fast? Now, of course, a lot of us have seen this over the past few months where the whole way we sell things, market things, the whole way we deal with our customers has had to change dramatically. Previously, of course, you might have had months, you might have even had longer to think about what are we going to do. Now organisations have had to move fast and they've had to use organisations that can assist them in doing that. We're going to tell a great story over the next few minutes of what happened to transform how one particular organisation worked and quite simply how long, or rather how short, it took. So with me in the studio here in London, Charlie Hobson, who's from the charity Rock to Recovery. Also Darren Meldrum, who's from Fujitsu, and thank you for coming here. And joining us online from Reading is Colin Ferguson, and good to see you and thank you for joining us. Let's first of all put the story in perspective as to what we're dealing with, what the problem was, and we'll get to what the solutions are. Charlie, you're, as I say, you're from what is in fact a community interest company,
Yes.
But with a very strong social purpose. It's called Rock to Recovery.
It is.
What do you do?
Well, I think it's probably best starting that the military has always had people who suffer serving or as veterans with stress, and their families suffer as well. And this particular story starts post-Afghanistan. Jamie Sanderson and Jason Fox, who you might know from SAS, Who Dares Wins. Both, Jamie tried to kill himself twice, and Jason was almost about to before Jamie stopped him. And they found that clinical treatment didn't work for them, as it doesn't in about 35% of cases. So they found, quite fortuitously, a specialist change management coach called Malcolm Williams, who helped very much to bring them back into living in the present with a positive future.
And that was the model they took?
Well, the model they took is coaching, yes, yeah. Specialist change management coaching.
And Rock to Recovery is about finding something to anchor yourself.
It's about finding something to anchor in and then having your own control over your recovery. We know that mountains, music and water can be very therapeutic and very helpful to the brain to restore the brain. But it was also about training that brain to change the meaning of the past so it changes the feeling. Because it's the feeling that triggers that negative emotions, that negative reaction. And that's what Jamie and Jason found with Malcolm. So in the end, Malcolm, Jamie and a Royal Marines mum toured the country in a car, finding people they knew were in trouble and helping them. And from that, Rock to Recovery as a community interest company was born in 2015.
So this was put together. You have a number of people who you're helping, people
Yep.
joining every week, every month saying, can you help?
Yep.
Has it surprised you? The is success the right word, but the interest there is in what you do?
No, it hasn't surprised me at all. I actually did 7 years working as the Chief Executive for the Royal Marines Association, where my frustration at having to deal with wives, mums, individuals, serving veterans who were finding no solace out there and actually not being able to do anything about it. So we complement what the NHS and combat stress do. We're not in competition. We do things deliberately differently. We have long sessions, 2 hours, 3 hours face-to-face, 2 hours on Zoom. They don't have an assessment. If they ask for help, they get it. We don't question their need because they know they need it.
So those are the people you're dealing with.
Yep.
That's what you're there to offer.
Yep.
Clearly, and this is really the story we're telling today, you got to a problem, didn't you?
Oh, we got to a very big problem, which was actually having control of our data, making sure that it's secure, making sure that we know how to look after those people so we can have rapid access to them, rapid access to the next of kin in case they were in trouble. I don't want to overblow it, but every year we save well over 20 to 30 lives because we've got the ability to ring next of kin, ring the police, get help to people that we know are in danger. And they reach out to us in those circumstances.
So having strong systems that work, this is more than just about keeping a business afloat. This is about saving lives.
This is about saving lives. And this is about having quick access to your data, decent reporting. We rely on fundraising. We rely on donors. If you can't tell people what you're doing and how you're doing it, then you don't get that either. So there's both a saving life aspect, there's both the data protection and responsibility aspect, and then there's how can we keep going as a business.
So vitally important, and like a lot of organisations, well, you start small, you're getting bigger. How were you storing your data and passing information around that you needed to, and dealing with your coaches and your clients?
Well, I laugh because, as Darren will tell you, Charlie Hobson is not an IT specialist. Yet I built an Excel spreadsheet, and we populated it with volunteers, and it was long, hard, laborious testing, and often we got it wrong just in filling in a spreadsheet. So it was frustrating, and I would spend half my working day just chasing data, corroborating data, and then using the data for better efficiency.
And the problem then was that it was what? It was simply beginning to overwhelm you, or it was sort of wrong?
Yeah. If you take the first year in 2015, about 70 clients. You take 2020, over 750. So just imagine that tenfold increase in working.
You had a big problem ahead of you, and you needed to sort it out, otherwise people were genuinely going to be affected. Right, so there's the story, and there's the problem, and that was what had to be dealt with. Let's talk to you, Colin Ferguson at OutSystems. Where did you come in on this one? Well, first of all, what does OutSystems do is probably a good place to start.
OutSystems is a software platform, and we were born out of technologists who identified and saw that there was a clear need to build applications faster, build them to last, and build them for the future, and build them in a cost-effective way. And what I mean by that is the application landscape for some time has become a very complex landscape. It's application projects in organizations, and whether they're a large national private enterprise or a not-for-profit organization, become huge exercises and huge projects, and sometimes last many years in themselves. The problem that we saw was the need to do that faster, need to do it more agile, and importantly do it in cloud as well. So our platform was built to do exactly that.
And then, so who are the people you're really looking to use the services you offer? This agility, this speed in sorting things out.
So it varies really. I think we have customers who are in some of the largest financial organisations in the country, some of the largest retailers, all the sort of traditional household names. We also work extensively in central government, and of course not for profit as well. And it's an interesting time because as I sort of alluded to earlier, the demands to deliver application services quickly is not a new thing. It's not a new thing to this year. Companies have been looking to modernize their legacy IT estates. And to your point, Charlie, you talk about the Excel spreadsheet. That's actually not that uncommon.
No, absolutely. A lot of people are relying on that. But how come you have been able to produce what is a platform that can be developed and used so much more quickly? What's different about what you do?
Yeah, we use the concept of low code. So in the traditional model, in the high code traditional model, you're building using a large number of developers, a large number of IT specialist expertise. And with low code, what we're doing is automating a lot of that process for you. So it's more of a case of building the customer journey, building the business process, and then the technology itself creates the code that sits behind it. So it makes it much easier for those organizations to do it. And in doing so, they can do it much more quickly.
So yes, so easier, more speedily, and not presumably involving the development every time that can take the time.
Correct. And that's where we work with people like Fujitsu. So it is key that that in doing that, you do need expertise, but you don't need the vast expertise of hiring thousands of developers to build applications. So it can become very quickly. The time to market accelerates from years to months, and in some cases weeks. And that's why I talk a little bit about the current time, because we're entering a phase in the market where people expect change extremely quickly.
And are needing it quite clearly at the moment. Let me come back to you in a moment. Darren Meldrum from Fujitsu. I mean, that's a useful link up you discovered with OutSystems.
Absolutely. So, I mean, Fujitsu recognised, some time ago that customers are requiring change much faster. The pace of change in the business is just growing exponentially. And whereas before you might have 6 months to plan a project, now you've got 6 days, 6 weeks to deliver. People are wanting that pace of change is just relentless, and we knew that we needed a different approach to application development if we were to thrive and survive in this new marketplace.
Right, so link all this up then. So you've got Charlie with Rock to Recovery, you've got Colin and his team at OutSystems, and you were able to bring them together. What was the relationship? How did you make that work?
Well, we were looking at our new application offering, which is called multi-experience development, which is a rapid way of developing applications and bringing really rich user interfaces to end users. So we evaluated a lot of tools that are on the market, and we identified OutSystems as the leader in that space, and that's why Fujitsu are now a full partner with OutSystems.
And Charlie, you must have found that when they came along and you were running your spreadsheets and he's coming along saying, we've got multi-experience development. Was that good news for you as a charity?
Well, I didn't understand the terminology, and it was embarrassing to have to show my spreadsheet. Was it good news? It was probably in Rock to Recovery's history for those of us working in the back office, and actually for the coaches now, the best news we'd heard in a long time.
Yeah. So Darren, you had a lot to bring and a lot to offer for Rock to Recovery. Fujitsu application and multi-cloud services, where would that fit in? How was that going to help?
Absolutely. So multi-experience development is a key pillar of our application and multi-cloud service portfolio. It's going to be the part of the portfolio that's going to drive business change most rapidly. And that's alongside all of our traditional cloud management, cloud migration and application transformation services that we have. In terms of how we got engaged, we started off by running what we call a virtual DTC, Digital Transformation Centre. We had intended to bring Charlie down to Baker Street in London, where we've got a wonderful DTC set up there, lots of tools and gadgets that you can play to make it a really interactive experience. But unfortunately, the COVID-19 lockdown happened just as we were about to kick off the project. So we had to switch to a completely virtual environment, and we spent 2 half days wandering around this virtual reality environment with our little avatars, saying hello to each other, putting virtual sticky notes on the wall, but building the business case for what you wanted to achieve.
And from that, those virtual sticky notes around the place, working out what was needed, you created apps. You created apps for your coaches, I think, and for your business back office as well.
Yes.
That must have been, well, it must have been transformational.
It was. I mean, we came out of that virtual DTC session with a clear understanding of what the business problem was and a clear idea and concept as to what we wanted to build. And we identified that the coach is the absolute key to making the solution work for Charlie and his team, because the coach is the person who has the one-to-one relationship with the end client. They are the font of all knowledge about that client, and they are the person who can provide that data and information and record it accurately at the point at which it's received.
So Charlie, you needed speed on this because it was all getting a bit too much, and also we're talking about lives and so on. Darren, you knew you could do it. Colin, was this a surprise or something you knew you could deal with and sort it out quickly?
Yeah, I mean, the problem was a problem that we can certainly fix and do so quickly. And I think when Darren explained to us a little bit about the background to Rock to Recovery as well, we were absolutely honoured and thrilled to be able to help them with this. The key for this is the problem of speed of change and the ability to move quickly and to move in an agile way. And doing that with Fujitsu was fundamentally key. We would have always looked to Fujitsu to support us in that. So it was the two combined gave me great confidence that we could achieve that very quickly.
And in terms of OutSystems, who else do you work with? Who else can you work with? Who are you looking for that you could really be transformational with? As
we've experienced this year, we've seen a lot of change very, very quickly. every major organisation in this country, but not just every major organisation, other organisations, not-for-profit, public sector organisations, have for some time had desires to go on digital transformation journeys and to release themselves from legacy processes or manual processes. That's nothing new. What's happened in the last year is that has accelerated significantly. So we talk to organisations all the time that have been looking to achieve certain goals over 2 to 3 years. They're now looking to achieve that in months and in a year.
And that's what you can do.
And that's exactly where we play. So where we're working with Fujitsu in many areas at the moment is looking at those companies who have specific goals to move quickly and to pivot their businesses and their services and deliver new products to their customers.
Right,
and that's where we fit.
And I know that what you've achieved with Rock to Recovery is quite exceptional. We'll just come on to that just in a second. Thanks, Colin. Before we do, Darren, where else are you working at the moment? What sort of areas are the future for you as far as this is concerned?
Well, at the moment we've got a project in progress which is working with a number of UK police forces to give them a mobile app that lets them manage and deal with crime out on the street. And it will save them an enormous amount of time because every minute that they're not back at the police station filling in paperwork or doing reports, they can be out on the streets, on the beat, protecting the public. So we've had some wonderful feedback from the police forces that we're engaged with and really excited to take that product to market.
So one of the areas moving forward there. Charlie, it's about people for you. Business is about people, otherwise business doesn't work. Has this worked for you? Do you know it's been a success?
I mean, forget the administration, forget the fact that there's invoicing is done quickly now, forget the fact that we can run the business much better. This app has saved a life already. It went live on the 1st of September. It only took 5 days to build. We're incredibly grateful to both OutSystems and Fujitsu for doing it pro bono. But often when a veteran or a family member decides to end their life, we'll be the last person they will get in touch with. This happened to a coach the first Friday after we'd started the app. Instead of the coach having to ring me or Carly and look at the old database, try and find the next of kin, phone the next of kin, then phone 999, actually the coach did it herself. She phoned the wife stopped him, she phoned the ambulance while the wife was stopping him, and he's now being looked after by the NHS crisis team. So there's a family that have been saved from disaster purely because of an app.
Well, there's no better testimony, I'm sure, than that saving a life. Darren, goodness me, what would you like people to take out of this in terms of the application and what Fujitsu and OutSystems together can actually offer?
I think the key thing here is that the Fujitsu partnership with OutSystems means that we can transform businesses in a matter of days or a small number of weeks now. This solution was built in 5 days. We can build solutions in 2 weeks that will really make a business difference, whether you're in retail, whether you're in public sector, whether you're in financial services, whatever area of business you're in, we've got the capability. We've built over 100 people who have been trained and skilled in this technology now. So we've got an army of people who can solve your business problems for you really quickly.
All right. Colin in Reading at OutSystems, thank you so much for joining us. And also Darren from Fujitsu and Charlie from Rock to Recovery. All the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, and I hope you've learned a lot about a new, faster way of working and why nowadays, quite often, it really is needed.